Welcome to Wash Talk, the Carwash Podcast. I'm your host, Rich DiPaolo, and joining me today we have Steve Gaudreau, President, and Jason Van Kooten, Director of Maintenance and Facility at Brink Results, LLC. It's great to see you both today, and thanks for taking some time to speak with me.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Hope you feel that way afterwards.
Well, let's find out. Let's jump right into it. But before we go into our topic today, identify waste and improve quality, I had a question for you, Steve, first to start us off. You know, I know you've been a friend of the publication. We could measure it now in decades. You've been a longtime supporter of PC&D, and I've gotten to know your business and your company a little bit better over these years. And I know Brink Results is a training and consulting firm, really known more for coaching owners on organizational issues and management development and sales training. If I'm not mistaken, Steve, doesn't today mark a departure from what you usually do?
Great question, Rich. I told you to ask Jason these questions, okay?
We send the hard ones for you, Steve.
Yeah. Well, you are accurate about a reputation. A few years ago, back in 2023, we decided to begin to offer more technical services, such as becoming more efficient in the tunnel to improve quality, as well as reduce the cost of operations. I've got a story about that I want to tell at the end about how we almost got involved in this much earlier. But that was a good pickup, Rich. And let me just talk a little bit about Jason. The person that we chose to lead this effort was a long-term client, several years with us, and very successful operator of 3 locations, Mr. Van Kooten. He's going to be the lead-off person answering your questions. Remember that, Rich, you asked him. But what I want to say about Jason, I've known a lot of people in the industry. I know several people that are really excellent with equipment. I put Jason up against anybody. He's as good as anybody I've ever been involved with, and he's done a tremendous job. Now in the last few years, he's been over 50 car washes he's worked with, and we got a long reference list for him. So delighted he's going to share some of the information that he knows with you today.
All right. Sounds like we got the right man for the job, Steve. And I wish you nothing but success as you move into this new direction for the company. I appreciate the explanation. And as I mentioned on the top here, today's topic is identify waste, improve quality. And I wanted to get you both on the program today to really talk about a critical topic that many operators are facing today, and that's how do I elevate operations and be the best operator in my area, and specifically, how can I be more efficient in the areas of chemical and water usage? And I'd like to also discuss the pivotal role that equipment maintenance plays in running a successful car wash business today. But Jason, if we've written about water and water reclaim on carwash.com and in the magazine many times over the years. We've often referred to it as the lifeblood of a car wash, and especially as municipalities across the country are becoming more stringent with their usage recommendations. It's a topic that's on the top of operators' minds, obviously nowadays. So, what is the average water consumption per vehicle in the car wash industry? And is there anything that operators can do to reduce this amount of water that they use in their facilities?
No, that's a great question. And what we've seen is we see a lot of ranges from gallons per car through washes, just due to the unlimited amount of variables that we have at car washes. You have longer tunnels, you have shorters, depending if they're in-bay automatics, and then you went to the express and so on. Generally, we see anything from 40 all the way up to 100 gallons per car. But on average, we're seeing right about 30 to 40 gallons per vehicle. And that's with the usage of reclaim. And there are some things that you can do to continue to help reduce that. And what those would be is looking at for like low flow nozzles, controlling your flow from your chemical service panels, and then controlling the flow from all your pumps to like your finishing arches, and having low volume rain bars.
All right. Now, as I mentioned, chemicals is obviously the other area of focus that a lot of operators are focused on nowadays. But I know training is something that's a critical piece to chemical usage and looking to use it more efficiently. So how can operators train staff to use chemicals more efficiently in order to avoid waste and really maximize the effectiveness of these chemicals?
Yeah, having an established operating procedure that's consistent throughout the company for chemical training, and training your staff proper on dilution ratios and application methods for the cleaning of the chemicals is crucial. Part of that is partnering with distributors that have that or that can help you with it, and or companies that can put that into place with you and give you that knowledge. The watching the chemicals weekly and even monthly is also a part of that process. It's very crucial to controlling those costs due to the high cost of chem and then being concentrates. If something goes out of whack a little bit and on high volume sites, that can be exponential throughout that month and can have a big impact.
I know not all water is created equally, Jason, right? So many different sources of water and different levels of water quality out there in the United States. I also know that something that's not created equal is nozzles and spray technologies, and these can actually help to minimize water usage. How can the different types of nozzles and spray technologies out there help minimize water usage, but still ensure a thorough and effective cleaning?
Absolutely. There is a lot of nozzles out there with different spray patterns and different gallons per minute. The big one that can help you reduce is actually reducing the gallons per minute on the nozzles. And then by doing that, that can help with your dilution ratios on your chems and being able to use less chem, but keeping the same dilution ratio by using less water. So we're not impacting anything as far as customer experience. A lot of times is we can maximize it because we can get a higher dilution ratio by using less chem and by just changing the amount of water that we use.
So if I'm an operator and I'm looking to track the chemical and water usage and consumption at my car wash, what metrics should I be looking at? What are the important metrics I should be focused on?
Oh, there's a few metrics that you can go on, and a lot of them is just the big ones in the industry. Like I always call like the big three. You have the chem cost per package, and then your average cost per car. And then also you have your gallons per car on top of that. And then your labor per car as well.
Interesting. Yeah, these car washes out there, these modern car washes, they're becoming so advanced. A podcast I did a few months back, somebody referred to them as a high-tech laboratory almost, and they're becoming so much smarter and automated. It's not your great-grandfather's car wash anymore. So how can operators effectively monitor and analyze water and chemical consumption in real time for better decision making? I imagine there's some advanced technologies out there that can help.
There are some advanced technologies out there. There's also some independent companies out there too that just specialize in watching the gallons per car. They set up meters to help give you like instant live updates. Some of the distributors or the big companies for chem companies will have are using technology to give you a live cost per car as well, using like a sonar or some air technology pumping into the barrels and stuff. But it always goes back down to always trust but verify. And there are the old school ways of doing like the beakers or through scales. And recently it appears that most chem companies are coming out with a container system that has like a sight glass and a special way of doing volumetrics off of that to make an ease for operators or even leadership on site to be able to handle that and not have to rely so much on outsourcing.
Oh, that's amazing. So we talk about equipment in this process, and I know just a few years ago we actually did a webinar with Sonny's, and the topic was on equipment maintenance, and the customer or the attendees' questions. We must have received 20, 30 questions on that webinar, and it was an all-time high for questions. People so interested in this topic of equipment maintenance. What preventative maintenance schedules should operators follow to avoid costly downtime and repairs on equipment?
Yeah, absolutely. It's essential to have a robust preventative maintenance program to reduce the downtime. I believe Sonny's has put out a cost to a cost association for downtime, depending on the volume of a site and what that impact looks like if you don't have the right parts on site, or just the knowledge to be able to give to do it. What we have found is that most of the items can be prevented ahead of time by being able to see wear points on hoses or wires or shocks and air cylinders and stuff like that if they're going to start to go before they actually go and get those replaced. But by doing that, you need to have daily checkpoints on crucial pieces of equipment. Examples would be like conveyors, any of the motor type equipment in the equipment room, from RO systems to your reclaim system, making sure that is staying online. And then to weekly maintenance schedules on your greasings and what we do with bearings, and just to have a crucial part of knowledge of the equipment and making sure that we don't break down due to us most washes being open 7 days a week and up to 12 to 14 hours a day. It's hard on equipment and it does fail. The key is to try to find it before it does fail.
That's a key, and it's such a great point. With so much on the line nowadays with trying to gain membership and loyal business, the last thing you want to do is have equipment that's not working correctly. So, fantastic points across the board, Jason. Steve, Jason, anything else to add on this topic of water consumption and chemical usage at the car wash before we close out today?
I want to talk about a couple things.
Sure.
Preventive maintenance, the last thing you were covering. When I go to car washes and I ask them to show me their preventive maintenance procedure, what we see most often is the manager gets there a few minutes before the wash opens and does about a 5-minute walkthrough. They walk through the equipment room, they walk through the tunnel, and what most people in the manufacturing sector would call that is maintenance, a quick check maintenance. They would never call it preventive maintenance. To do a thorough preventive maintenance job that has different components, the daily checks I just mentioned, a weekly maintenance for some items, monthly service, quarterly professional inspections, annual overhauls. There's several different areas, but the main ones are the quick preventive quick reality checks, I call them, walking through the tunnel. That doesn't really, something sticking out, that will occur, we'll pick something up, but that's not the big thing. A preventative maintenance, you need to get there about an hour before you open, and you need to spend a rigorous 30 to 40 minutes going through the tunnel, the equipment room when it's dry, the tunnel when it's dry, and there's a whole checklist that you need. Almost everybody today has a software program that they're entering this information into. That's really preventive maintenance. That's maintenance to prevent things from happening. And every time we do the training on this out there of a client, for sure, somebody discovers something in the preventative maintenance that they never would have seen with a 5-minute walkthrough. It happens naturally when we do that. And then beyond preventive maintenance, there's scheduled maintenance. Big items get taken care of when they break down. That's long before they should. You should have the preventive maintenance to prevent that, and regularly scheduled maintenance replaces things. Most people will try to make every piece of equipment last until there's not much left in it. That's really not the best way to run a railroad. A good volume wash being down for a day would pay for the replacement costs doing it at the appropriate time. So there's not, even when you talk preventative maintenance, everybody says, oh yeah, I do preventive maintenance. Hardly anybody would meet the criteria of a engineering firm or a manufacturer of what we call preventative maintenance.
Interesting.
Yeah. Jason, anything you want to add to that?
No, that pretty much sums it all up.
Okay. Well, I just want to tell a story. And this story is, it's about the industry, but most of it sound like it's about me. But anyway, when I got into the car wash industry, because I was giving a speech at an association, most of whom were manufacturers. And a operator came up to me and said, what do you know about the car wash business after the speech? And I famously told him, because he reminds me of this at every ICA meeting, that I said, what's the car wash industry? I didn't even register as an industry. So he said, I want you to come over and take a look at my operations. Well, this operator was very successful, and he's still in business. It hasn't sold out to private equity firms. And I went and he showed me around the property, and I'll never forget walking through his tunnel for the first time. And the tunnel was in terrible shape. I knew nothing about the car wash industry or car wash equipment, nothing. Things were taped up with duct tape, hanging, wires were hanging, from the ceiling. I connected to one I didn't know. And I walked through this, and I'd done a lot of work in manufacturing. I said, boy, total quality management would be great, for a company like this, for a business like this. He said, I didn't get you for that. I'm more interested in sales training, selling extra services, and upping our dollars per car. I said, well, that's fine. We can do that. That's something we're pretty knowledgeable about. I says, but boy, there's so much opportunity to improve the equipment. He said, don't waste your time. Most operators are not going to spend time and money doing a preventative maintenance program. Well, I said, okay, fine. I'll keep that in mind. First few companies where I went out, he referred me to a bunch of companies. First few companies that went out, I talked to them about what they want to talk about, which is good consulting. And then I said, have you thought about doing anything more to prevent your equipment from going down? And everybody, without question, said, what we're doing is fine. We don't really care about that. We care about car count and dollars per car. That's what we're interested in. Well, here we are 30 years later. I'm not so sure there's been a whole lot of change. There's been change because there's a lot of software tools out there to use with the preventive maintenance. A lot of good items that you can use to monitor things that you couldn't have before. But still, I'd say that's recent, the last few years, and it still isn't universal. People still answer the question, "What about your preventative maintenance program?" and they're not describing one at all. So, anyway. Now, many years later, we're having a lot of good response to what we're doing, because we can save, and anybody doing this, what Jason's talking about, can save tens of thousands of dollars on chemical costs for openers, water costs, and probably the biggest thing, but not the most obvious, is the equipment, how you can extend the shelf life of equipment beyond what even a manufacturer promises you will, because of a quality maintenance. So I had to tell that story about how I got involved in the industry. So
That's interesting, Steve. It's interesting to hear that maybe not a lot's changed in that area in the past 30 years, but I know in the past 30 years, you've gone from knowing nothing about the car wash industry to being one of the thought leaders in the market. You're always giving us great information, and again, best of luck. It sounds like you're getting a great response as you're changing direction here for the company.
We are. And that's a great thank you to Jason, because every property he's gone on to, he's been able to discover, things that people aren't looking at. And that's the kind of result you have to get people to buy in. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Sounds good. I know we're going into trade show season. We got one in Texas, and then the big show in Vegas coming up in a couple of months. And operators who are listening will have plenty of opportunities to see some of these technologies that Jason mentioned throughout the podcast today. So be on the lookout at the show for these nozzles and spray technologies and smart systems that can help you monitor and track your chemical and water usage. I thank you both for taking some time with me today and discussing the concept of improving quality and reducing waste at the car wash.
Okay. And brinkresults.com if you want to contact us. Your first call is always free.
I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll let you.
Thank you.